Welcome to KryptoGeneX.
All right, good morning or afternoon, actually, or well, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you for joining us this Saturday, and I need to cut these chimes off. It will interrupt us during this call, and I don't want you guys to miss anything that's being said. So welcome to this Saturday special call for KryptoGeneX, where we're going to be interviewing two special guests. Now, first I want to thank Mr. Albert Thomas for doing the greetings for us early on. Albert is one of our pinnacle leaders, one of our top leaders in the business. So anybody that's working with Albert, you've got a strong leader to deal with, and use him to help build your team. So thank you, Albert. And a couple of weeks ago, we started off introducing you to one of the co-owners, Mr. Mike Boggs. So Mike Boggs was the first that you heard from to hear about what's going on with KryptoGeneX, and that was before we even announced the name KryptoGeneX. Then you heard from Mr. Will Fietland, where Will did a special training where he talked about how to understand the psychology, each person has their own. Oh, my mind is going blank right now, but I do it all the time when I talk about my whale, dolphin, urchins.
Personality?
There you go. Thank you. Each person has a different personality traits based on colors. I use based on fish. And Will did an excellent job breaking that down so you guys get to see some of the quality of the leadership and the content that we're going to be providing. Then following that, we had a special interview with, last week, it was one of the co-owners, Stephen McCullough, where you got to hear the history of how this company came to be, how 20 years ago he launched a platform that's similar into the fact that it was education, and they put over 2 million people in the system in 2 years. And what we have now is far bigger than what they did back then. So you got to hear from Stephen McCullough, and this week we have a mother-son duo of Kathy and Jeramie Keene, who recently just moved to Hawaii. Kathy Keene is the first person I met. I met Kathy last year, early on when I started to do my own investigation and delve into the cryptocurrency space. There was a couple of companies I was looking at, and that is one of the companies, the company that she was involved in at the time. I had a chance to talk with her and Will at that time to tell me more about the company, but I learned about her and the fact that the success she has had by helping people all over the world in the Bitcoin industry. And one of the things that really stood out to me was her heart, that she really loves the people. And to mention how much money she actually made out of Bitcoin in a short period of time. I said, okay, I know this is the industry I need to be a part of, but I even told my business partner, Jairus Coleman, at the time, that Kathy is somebody that we need to stay in touch with, even if we're not in business together. And it wasn't going to be another, I don't know, maybe 6-7 months before we actually did do business together, and that led us to where we are here. Her son Jeramie, that I met probably maybe 6 months ago, 5 or 6 months ago, I was doing Facebook Lives, and he hopped on a couple of them. I was listening to them, and we got a chance to talk and develop a good relationship. And one of the things about Jeramie is I'm really surprised about his knowledge of the industry in such a short period of time, and what he's accomplished in the crypto industry as well. So this is another person, as well as with Kathy, that we need to stay in contact and know. And those of you who don't know, the person who introduced me to KryptoGeneX, the reason why I'm here, is Jeramie Keene. And that says a lot, because I get approached at least 10 times a day from people, from owners, join this company, join that, we want to do this for you. And for somebody to really get my attention, Jeramie got my attention. And the way he got it, he said, Brandon, we've got something that we're developing that is right up your alley, education, crypto education. You got to take a look at what we're doing. And I said, okay, got my attention. So first what I want to do, I want to bring up Kathy Keene. And Kathy, please share with everybody your history. Before KryptoGeneX, what made you who you are all the way up to where you are now? Let them know who Kathy Keene is. So Kathy, are you there? And if you're muted, Kathy, hit *6 to unmute yourself. All right, let me make sure I'm not disconnected. Jeramie, are you there as well?
Nope, you're here. I can hear you, Brandon. I think that she's either dropped off or can't unmute.
Let me do a double check. Yeah, let me do a double check. What about Jeramie? Because I heard Jeramie earlier as well. Let me unmute the line.
I'm here. Hey, Brandon.
All right.
It's Jeramie.
How's Kathy? Kathy's
I don't know. I sent her a message. I'm like, I don't know if she had a call drop or her battery died or what happened. So.
Well, guess what that means? We're going to start with you. So, while we get Kathy back on, we're going to start with her son Jeramie. And Jeramie, I want to preface this for a second because you grew up in a household that was in the direct selling industry and network marketing all your life. And it wasn't until recently that you decided to join your mom into this industry. It really puts the crypto side, but give us background on yourself and why you chose now as opposed to before to get into this industry.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, sorry for the interruption, guys. We're going to try to get my mom back on here in a minute. My name's Jeramie Keene. For those of you who I have not met or had the pleasure of working with in the past, Brandon, thank you very much for your dedication towards education in this space. And a little bit of background on me. I went to my first, direct selling / marketing, network marketing, whatever you want to call it. I went to my first event at 13 years old in Arco Arena in Sacramento, California, and it was actually an Amway convention. So yeah, I've been I've been exposed to this industry for a really long time. I'm now 40 years old, and up until beginning of last year, 2017, I had chosen to not get involved in this space because I believe that it was full of hype, broken promises. I saw people, auto ships and juice boxes. You're welcome, Brad Levy. Juice boxes on people's garage shelves, and all the auto ships and just basically everything I think a lot of you on this call have experienced. And what really caught my eye, also with you, Brandon, was just the amount of money that was being made in cryptocurrency and all the enthusiasm and excitement. And even though I wasn't directly involved, but I saw the incitement of my mom. I saw, just looking on Facebook, Bitcoin was starting to pop up everywhere. And so
Brandon, I'm on. I had to log back in. Sorry.
We're going to bring you on next, Kathy, after Jeramie.
So basically what ended up happening is I did what many people do, is Google searching and hunt and peck through YouTube, just trying to really figure out what this Bitcoin thing was all about. And, what I did is I got involved in one of those companies that 50% of my Bitcoin, not knowing so when I got involved, and to know, I don't point the finger and blame anyone for that, because the people who got me involved, my mom and Will and some other people at that time didn't even realize that 50% of their Bitcoin was going to the compensation, and only 50% of what you actually invested was being traded on, and you were earning commissions based on, how much people were actually depositing into, their algorithm or their bot or whatever it is that they were claiming to do. But ultimately, the cryptocurrency really kind of got my attention, this Bitcoin thing. Is it the one world currency? Is it, I definitely, in my opinion, everything has already gone digital, from credit cards. I mean, how many people carry that much cash really on them anymore? Everyone relies on credit cards or calling up on the phone to pay this bill or pay that bill. So ultimately, the evolution had already arrived, and the cryptocurrency aspect and Bitcoin had really kind of struck a nerve with me. It's like I had to get involved, and I had to be a part of this. So right out the gate, within the first month or two, I started seeing some success. And I bought my first Bitcoin in February of 2017. I actually spent $2,200 out of my own pocket. So right about 2.25 Bitcoin was when I got involved, February 2017. And I went to work and I started just basically sharing with my friends and family and people that I knew within the community about this Bitcoin thing. And everyone got really excited about it and hopped on and joined in. So I had tremendous success. But the bad side kind of came a couple months later when we learned that we didn't own our Bitcoin, and the company we were involved in started, just kind of changing things up. And there was so much, I'm trying to think of a positive word, but ultimately we were all misled, and people started getting hurt, and people started losing their money. And so I stopped building in that company. And I had a moment where I was just like, man, this is kind of why I didn't get involved. This is why I never wanted to get involved in any of these companies, is because, the guy on top's the one who wins. And that was my perception of it all. Is, the guy that's in the very top with thousands and thousands of people, he's the only one that's going to make any money in this game. But what I started to do then is I started to really pay attention to some of the altcoins, getting myself educated, Brandon, through a lot of your crypto talks, really researching what cryptocurrency was doing. It's almost like the Industrial Revolution, to where this is like the technological revolution. And so ultimately the passion of cryptocurrency stayed there. I followed it up with another 2 companies, ultimately to have the same exact experience. So when Stephen and Will approached my mother and myself and Mike Boggs about his idea for crypto education, I mean, it was something I was already doing, but I was self-educating myself, and I was educating and trying to teach as many people as possible in my, per se, downline, people who had gotten involved with me. But I spent a great deal of time constantly on the phone answering questions, and I'm talking simple questions. But there was really no handbook. There was no layout for how you were to go about doing this, or the forks, or, what is Litecoin, and what's a white paper, and what's a roadmap, and what's, so on and so forth. So when this idea of KryptoGeneX came about from Stephen, and we all 5 just naturally we fell onto a call, and yeah, Stephen kind of tried to scare us off and said, hey, I need $1 million and this and that and whatever. But something clicked with me. And it was something that I felt like was truly missing in this space. And the fact that I've only been involved in cryptocurrency for a year, I found that I have learned, just because I've been able to surround myself with people who are like-minded and really understand cryptocurrency. Brandon, I jump on your lives as often as I can if I'm on other calls explaining things to people. And so, needless to say, I'm addicted to crypto. My name's Jeramie. I'm a cryptoaholic. And, I think a lot of people are too. They're fascinated with this technology. They're fascinated with the blockchain. They're fascinated with how much money people are making. But ultimately, what I feel everyone's lacking is education. And I'm just really excited to be a part of this journey. I'm excited to learn more. And I'm excited to teach what knowledge I've learned in this space and share it with the world. With you, Brandon, and my mom, Kathy, and Will, and Stephen, and Rob Harris, and Albert Thomas, and Christy Namus, and Chris Hanks, and everybody on this call, what we've all collectively learned about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I'm just really excited to share our knowledge with the rest of the world for people who have been misled, and people who have done the hunt and peck thing online to try to figure out, what is it, or what are all these things. But we're going to probably put it all into one location so that we can share our experience and our knowledge about this space. So, yeah, I'm just real excited to be here. Can't wait for our soft launch, pre-launch coming out later this month, beginning of next month, and I hope everyone on the call is as excited as we are. So, Brandon?
All right. Thank you very much, Jeramie. Now, let's see. Kathy, are you there?
I am here, Brandon.
Fantastic. Boy, share us with
It wasn't letting me unmute. I'm like, okay, it says I'm unmuted, but you weren't hearing me.
No problem at all. So go ahead and share with us your background and how you got to this point.
Well, my background is probably like a lot of other people. I was a young mother. I married early. Once I had my kids, I just said, okay, now I have to get into the real world. Start my career. Well, what I found for 15 and a half years later, I had worked myself up, to be a troubleshooter. In that 15 years, managing 10 restaurants, an enormous amount of stress, an enormous amount of time away from my family. And I finally, said, oh, God, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. You can't just live, to work and miss, your kids' lives. So I just dug in. My first experience in network marketing actually was here again. I heard somebody else say this, and I think it was Steven. Amway. Amway was my first. And several other product companies after that. But that was not my heart. That was not my passion. Great companies, great systems. However, I knew that, those you have to go home to home parties and hotel meetings. And it's just like, no, I want no part of that. That is why, I left corporate. So fast forward, December of 2016, I had been for a year or more studying cryptocurrency. I saw the buzz. I knew that it was something. I knew the way that the economy was going, and our dollar was dwindling. And I said, okay, this is it. So, Will calls me and says, hey, he's like, we just joined a company. I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean we just joined a company? And I looked at it because neither one of us just hopped into companies, okay, without doing research. However, we did not know. We did not know at that time that they were going to you never got your Bitcoin back. Let me just put it that way. You never got your Bitcoin back. Over the next 3 months, we built a team of over 45,000. We just got in. We went to work. I have a huge network. Most of you know me from social media because that is my passion. People, social media, as well as business. That is my passion. That is what I'm absolutely phenomenal with. Okay? I'm not a public speaker. You're going to catch me from the heart, and I'm always going to speak to you from my heart with high integrity. I will not let anybody hurt anybody else. I will automatically stop that. I've become Mama Bear, and I don't know where that name came from. A lot of you on the call have known me for many, many years, and they call me KK. They call me Kat, or just my name, Cassie. So we've had great success. 2017. The amount of Bitcoin, guys, that I made even floored me. It's like something hit you and said, oh my gosh, this is the industry, but it was lacking. It was definitely lacking. We were uneducated, jumping into this, or not this, but, certain companies, finding out, like I said, you lose your Bitcoin. In October, something very traumatic happened. And that's the reason I'm in Hawaii. We got woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning by a branch falling from our neighbor's backyard, and it fell over our gazebo, which our house was at the end of, in the backyard. And we ran outside, and guys, this is the most traumatic thing I've ever happened in my life. The whole entire sky was red, and we had hot ashes everywhere. There was no dark sky. There was no nothing. 2 o'clock in the morning. We had 7 minutes to leave. Most of you, especially here in the U.S., heard about the Northern California fires. Well, mine was one of those neighborhoods that was all over the news. over 1,100 in my subdivision lost their homes, 22 lost their lives. We had no warning whatsoever. Now, I'm telling you this for a reason, and the reason is this. I could have said, I'm done. I give up. But you know what? I've always been a fighter, and that was not going to kick me down. Okay? I continued to build. At that moment, even though my plan was to retire in Hawaii, it was like something, it's God's timing, I guess. It happened for a reason. So once we, lost everything, absolutely everything except for my dog, my family, and we were like, okay, what now, right? What now? Well, the reason I said that I'm telling you that for a reason is because this industry, this cryptocurrency industry, saved my family. Losing everything, 41 years of marriage, whoa, it can kick you. But I was so blessed to have been in this industry and to make the kind of money that I made, so I wasn't living in shelters. I had a place to go. I had options. So, my husband and I just kind of looked at each other and says, okay, what now? And we said, okay, we were going to retire in Hawaii. Now is the time. So we moved to Hawaii December 4th, and here we are. So I'm very, very blessed, very, very blessed. But I'm no one special, okay? I'm special to the fact that I'm a businesswoman, I'm a great mom, I'm a great friend, and I will always help everyone. I don't care where you are. In the companies I was with. I don't care how far down you are. A lot of people, it's me, 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 me. I'm not going to help you unless it benefits me. I'm the farthest away from that. Farthest away from that. I'm very approachable. I'm going to tell you the truth. Is it always going to be nice? No, because I'm not going to lie to you. Will it sometimes hurt your feelings? Yes, not on purpose. However, you know what? I'm just so blessed. Brandon, you are just someone that, the minute I met you, we locked arms. And it was just, I felt the same way, Brandon. It was like we were going to do something together. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was. Will, Stephen, here again, I say it's God's timing, right? Well, this is why, this is the reason I met Stephen. Of course, Will and I, had been working together. We built a big organization. I have a huge network online. A lot of people will say, Kathy, we've never met you in person. You don't do Facebook Live. We only see pictures of you. Guys, that's not my forte. Okay? That's not me. As long as I know my strengths, I surround myself with people like Stephen, like Brandon. Everybody carries their weight. I have a really strong, that's my profession, budget, profit and loss. I was profit queen for this company I told you about, 8 consecutive years, managing 10 restaurants. I know my strengths. Does that mean I'm not going to get better at things like this? Of course I am. When you're green, you're growing. When you're not, you rot. So KryptoGeneX is just something that is needed. If it was something that we had back then, we wouldn't have made the mistake. We wouldn't have built the teams that we built based on, how do I say this, mistruths? I don't even know if that's really a word, but Brandon, thank you for all you do. Thank you for my team. Thank you all out there listening. Brandon, back to you there.
Well, thank you for sharing, Kathy. And I remember when you were going through that whole process of the house burning down. I'm in California as well, so it was all over the news. And one thing that I learned by watching you, and this is something important for everybody, you get to know the character of a person when they're going through adversity. When things are always good and great, and yeah, of course that person's smiling, that person's going to be open and positive and helpful. But how does an individual act when they're in stress, when they're in distress, when they're having personal issues as well as business? And so I saw during that time that Kathy's personality, Kathy's way of approaching and dealing with people didn't change. In fact, she was still out there trying to help and do as much as she possibly can for her team, her business, while going through something that most of us hopefully will never have to experience. Losing your home and losing your memories and everything that goes along with that is one of the worst things you can go through. And so she still came out on top, and that's why I consider her not just Mama Bear, but the heart of the company. And that kind of leads to my next question I want to give to Jeramie, that we have 5 co-owners here, 5 owners, and you all work together. And people ask me the question all the time, how does that work? How do you guys, make things happen when you've got 5 of you as opposed to having one guy behind the scenes that nobody's heard about with all the money? And I love that since this is cryptocurrency and it's a community effort, Jeramie, please expand so everybody can know, how do you 5 owners work together and your different strengths that you guys have?
Hey, Brandon, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. That's kind of an interesting question. I've always worked in some sort of teams, and I've always worked really well with other people. And the fact that I still to this day have never met a couple of my partners in person. But what I think that our strengths are is we're very like-minded, and we're all kind of going in the same direction. Is that we genuinely want to help people. We genuinely want to help and educate people. We want to see people succeed, and ultimately, it's kind of like checks and balances and a teeter-totter and some of those other things in life. You kind of just learn to pick your battles. If one guy out of the 5 feels passionately about something, we have to take the time to stop and listen and hear them out and see where they're coming from. A lot of times you got to go with your gut and vote on something that you're kind of unsure about, and you got to trust the other person on the other end of the line, and knowing that they have the best interests of not just themselves but the entire company organization as a whole. At the end of the day, when I personally decided to be a part of the 5 and the ownership of this company, I knew at that moment that there was going to be times where I was going to disagree, but I had to make my point. I had to make my point known. I had to make my point proven. And I had to stand up and speak up for myself. And everyone on our team does the same thing. So, we don't always agree. But what we all agree on is that we're here for a reason, and we have to just trust one another and trust that we're doing the right thing. And we bring it to a vote. It's just the way it works. And not every time everyone's going to get their way. And I like the fact that there's 5 of us because we can keep each other grounded. Power and strength comes in numbers. And we're constantly on the phone with each other all day, along with Zoom calls with our teams and other people that are excited about this adventure. So, we're working around the clock to bring something special to the cryptocurrency space. And, I'm going to use the cheesy line that I've been hearing a lot of people, use is we're locking arms together. And we're definitely gonna bring that change. We're gonna educate you, and you're gonna learn something, and I'm gonna learn something, and we're all gonna learn, and we're all gonna do it. We're gonna do it together, and we might not have all the answers, but we're gonna be willing to say, hey, we were wrong, or hey, we were right. And at the end of the day, we're all in this together. So.
All right, thank you very much, Jeramie. And this is a question for Kathy. You know, Kathy, you've had a lot of experience in the past with network marketing, with companies, especially getting started with Amway, now into the crypto industry, where I see this company is like the Amway in the crypto industry. I've got 19 years experience, and I've seen companies come and go, and ones that have had great success and those that have not. And from what I've seen, what you guys have put together so far, I see this becoming a billion-dollar brand, a billion-dollar company worldwide, especially because it's in the crypto space. There's just a lot more money involved in this space than traditional MLM. But my question for you, Kathy, is where do you see, you know, the company in the future? What's your vision for us going forward long term? Because you didn't design this to be a short-term deal, but you made this to be a legacy company. So what are your projections, or where do you see the company in the future?
It's actually a no-brainer for me. Coming from the industry, you know, in brick and mortars, seeing the good, the bad, being in several other companies, there's a lot of different factors. Number one, and the companies I did have success with, guess what? They had systems. They had integrity. However, a lot of the mistakes that people make is they don't have content for people. They don't provide marketing. They don't set boundaries. They don't have a zero tolerance for the kinds of things that bring down companies. They have lavish spending habits. And that, first of all, is going to break any company. And because of the team that we have, Brandon, you know, there's no shortcuts here. You know, we're launching right out of the gate to the world, you know, 25 languages. How many companies have done that? So because we have such a strong team, we have people like you, we have people like Stephen, we have people like Will. This is going to be a legacy company. Anyone I talk to is like, whoa, this is what's missing in this industry. And the fact that we are so transparent. You can find any of us. You can find any of us. A lot of people have my number. You know, it's like, okay, well, you know, don't just pick up the phone and call me. Text me, and if I'm available, I'm going to talk to you. If I'm not, I'm going to tell you when I can talk. But there's just, this is what's needed. This is what is needed in this space, and the masses are very uneducated, and they need to become educated so that they're not joining companies like we did, so that they're not losing, you know, a single mom can do this. You know, she can educate herself as she's earning. So it's about all levels, the very successful marketer versus somebody, you know, brand new. This is what was missing in this whole entire industry. So yes, you use the word legacy. This is going to be a legacy company. I have every bone in my body says it is. And the fact that we have people like you and the other owners who have come together. So I think that is the main reason, Brandon, that we are going to be so successful, and we want to do it right. We want, you know, we've hired the best attorneys in the MLM world. We've hired compliance attorneys. That, to me, is my number one goal. It's like, no, all these companies are getting shut out. People are, you know, losing their Bitcoin, whether it's because, you know, the company got kicked out of the U.S., they chose to leave the U.S. You know, here we are in the U.S. because it's so hard here that we said, no, we have to have a company that is compliant here in the U.S. So I think that's why we are going to be so successful.
Awesome. Thank you for that, sharing that. And I want to go back to Jeramie. Jeramie, what thoughts would you like to share to give out to everyone that's looking at your company? And you know, you speak to them, let them know what KryptoGeneX is going to do for them and why they should be here.
Hey, make sure you can hear me okay.
Yes, sir. You're all good.
So, yeah, cool. Thanks. You know, going through, you know, again, transparency is I've been involved in 3 companies, and, you know, KryptoGeneX will be my 4th company in a year's time. And the number one thing I saw that was missing, and we all have seen it that's missing, is that if you see an issue with a company, or you see an issue with the information that's being distributed, or you know, everyone here is going to have a voice. And I'm not saying that lightly. You know, I spend countless hours attached to my electronic devices, whether it's my laptop or my cell phone, and we're out in the trenches of learning and educating ourselves, watching what other companies are doing. We have the experience of the good and the bad with some of these other companies, and we've all seen firsthand. You know, my mom, 20 years of network marketing. You know, Will and Steven, same thing. Brandon, you with 19 years. We've all seen what's missing, right? Just the fact that we're doing these meet the owner calls. You know, there's a reason that we're doing this the way we're doing it. Is that, you know, the single mom, the person new to this space, the person new to cryptocurrency, the person new to, you know, network marketing or direct sales or whatever you want to call it, at the end of the day, we're all hungry for education. We're all hungry for success. We're all hungry for, you know, even if you want to make $300 to help make ends meet, or help out with the amount of, you know, for the babysitter, or take your wife or your husband out on date night and be able to afford it and not feel guilty. You know, everyone is entitled to live their life and not be strapped. And that's another reason that we've built the compensation as strong, you know, with KryptoGeneX as strong as we have. You know, it's virtually a 60-40 split. You know, we're not greedy. We're not hungry for money. You know, honestly, at the end of the day, it's not about money. It's about sharing in the journey with everyone, sharing in our journey, sharing the journey, all of us together. And I think that, you know, if we all stay on the same page, you know, not just the 5 of us, everyone on this call, if we all stay on the same page and everybody tries to share their story and what they're setting out to do, we have the opportunity here to become that legacy company. But us 5 can't do it alone. With the 10 Pinnacles, you can't do it alone. It comes down to everyone on this line sharing the exact same message that we're sharing. We're here to educate people on this space. So don't make up a story to get the sale. Don't lie. Don't deceive. Don't cheat people. Be truthful. Be transparent. If you don't know an answer, you can get a hold of any one of the 5 of us. Send us a friend request. Send us a message on chat. You know, go to your upline. And if you don't feel like you're getting the answer that you need, go to the next person above. I mean, there's a huge community of us that are all here to help, and we definitely all have to stay unified. And if we don't, that's what's going to break a company. I'm seeing all these brand new companies coming out, and literally it's like moving furniture inside your home. It's the same stuff. You just moved it. And so a lot of these companies are coming out, and they have this, and they have that, and they have this, and they have that. But at the end of the day, they're mirroring all these other companies that have come out and been shut down or chosen to leave the U.S. You know, we have to be different, all of us. Everyone on this line has to be completely different, and we have to do it the correct way. And if not, then we won't succeed. But if we do, I mean, I would love to be a part of a company 5 years from now. When I left my job, I was part of that same company for 5 years. I helped in the growth of that company. It was a small mom and pop company, and you know, I watched it grow. And you know, the owner wasn't selfish. He shared the love, and that's what we plan on doing here at KryptoGeneX. We plan on doing it all together.
All right.
Back to you, Brandon.
Thank you very much, Jeramie. So, Kathy, any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to leave to share with everybody that's looking at CryptoGeneX for the first time and those that's already here?
Trust. Have faith. Make it be a passion. If you don't have high integrity, just know that we're going to do the right thing. Education is lacking in this world. There's so much opportunity. Sometimes you just have to jump in, on that blind faith. Get to know people. Relationships is definitely something that you have to have. And do not ever have the what's in it for me mindset, because that is death. That is death, actually, in this industry. Do a lot of people make a lot of money with that mindset? Sure they do. Do I want to work with them? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So just have faith. Know that we're going to do everything right. Are we going to make some mistakes? Sure. Okay? It's human nature. But the 5 of us have such a passion. Like Jeramie said, we're going to listen. Whether it's, what do you want to be educated on? What are we missing? Brandon and I, we were talking the other day, and it's like, okay, we need this. We need to educate on this. We need to educate on that. And so we're listening. We're here. We're going to just help you become as successful as you want to be. Not how successful we, what's in it for us, right? That's not what this is about. What is in it for you? Where do you want to be? And until you choose, until you become committed, it's going to be like any other company out there. It's going to take hard work. But how many of you put that hard work to make your boss richer? Okay, and I'm not degrading anybody who works. I worked my butt off for over 23 and a half years. So I know hard work. My work ethic is very, very strong. Just know and trust and keep plugged in.
All right. Thank you very much, Kathy. And that is it. We're right at the 45-minute mark. At this point, you guys have heard from every single owner, one call where they were all together, and also now separately. So when anybody says, are we fully transparent? Absolutely. They have all been recorded. You have access to them on our CryptoGeneX YouTube channel that you can hear from each and every owner, and they're accessible, that you can reach out to them. So I want to thank Kathy Keene and Jeramie Keene for coming on and taking time out of their schedule. We know they are so busy behind the scenes getting everything prepared and ready for us going into pre-launch, soft launch in a couple of weeks. So thank you guys for taking time out and sharing with the world who you are and what we're all about. We very much appreciate it. This call is recorded for those who have missed it, and if you'd like to share it with people that you introduced this business to. So here's what's going to happen next. 1 week from now, next Saturday, I'm going to do another special call, but this one is going to be about preparing for the pre-launch. What should each and every one of you do to be ready so that when we open the doors and you start coming into the system, you're ready to go, from having your wallets ready, your money in there ready, and what to tell your teams. And I'm going to really be talking about your story, getting your story ready, getting your story prepared. The story sells, not the facts of anything else. It's all about the story. So we're going to cover that next Saturday and go over just what you can do to have your team ready. So when the doors open and you launch, you're going to have a huge launch. And I want to give you an example. This is years ago, when I had one big break in a company. I got started it was a Friday. I was at work at the time. And while I was at that work, I was terminated from a previous company where they stole 2 months of my commissions. Troy Dooley did a huge thing about that. It was all over social media years ago. It was maybe 2011 or 12 when that happened. And I was faced with the fact that I lost my income. My home-based income was making more money for me than my job was. But I lost that income. Then I got a pink slip on my job saying that the company is going to be moving headquarters up to San Jose, California. If you want to keep your job, you're going to have to move as well. Or in a couple of months, you might get laid off. We're not saying you will, but you might. So I was in a situation where I needed to make something happen. And I got started on a Friday. Some of you on this call were with me back in those days. By the first week, we had put 40 people in business. And actually, let me take that back. The first night, well, I had put maybe 10 people that first night. Those 10 turned into 40 the first week. By the first 30 days, those 40 turned into 500. By the next 60 days, those 500, it turned into over 1,000. By the 90 days into the business was over $12,000 a month in residual income. And that all came from because we had a great launch. The launch. So we're going to talk about next Saturday how to have a great launch for each and every single one of you. And then following that, either it'll be the following Saturday or sometime in the week, I want to introduce you guys to the Pinnacles. We have Pinnacle leaders. You heard Jeramie mention the Pinnacle leaders. So there's 10 of us, Pinnacle leaders. And maybe not all of them will be on. We'll probably do a Zoom call for that. So I'd love to have them all on a Zoom call. We'll just have a discussion amongst each other about, want to introduce you to the leaders, the top leaders in the company. These top leaders will be sitting on top of all of the company. And so you get to know who they are. So if you ever need any help, like Jeramie said, you can't reach your upline, you can definitely go to these Pinnacle leaders as well. So we're going to have a special Zoom call with all the Pinnacles and introduce them. You already heard from some of them, Christy Snoddy. You've heard from Albert Thomas. You also, I don't know if you've heard, you might have heard from Rob Harris. So we've got a lot of good Pinnacle leaders that you're going to hear from and introduce to. And then it's game time after that. We're going to be moving forward ahead, and when we finally do launch, it's going to shoot off like a rocket. You might say, I can't even keep up with what's going on, and that's a good thing. It's called organized confusion. It is just exploding from that point forward. Also, some news: we've got the Blockchain Expo in London coming up April 18th and 19th. I think that's like a Tuesday and a Wednesday. I'm going to be there. Christy Snoddy's going to be there. Will's going to be there. Will Fietlin. And I think maybe 30 or 40 members of the KryptoGeneX family will be there. We'll probably have a meet and greet for KryptoGeneX while we're there. And also, there's going to be a special event taking place in Sweden. So I'm actually going to be flying from London to Sweden for a special event that we're going to have in Sweden. A couple hundred people that's going to be in the room there for Peter Blackwell and his team, and anybody that you have in Europe can also be invited to there. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to even with our Pinnacle leaders. Chris Hanks as well is another Pinnacle leader. So guys, we're at the beginning of history that's going to be made here. And it's exciting to be here. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you to Kathy and Jeramie for sharing. I'll get this recording out as fast as possible. We'll see you all next Saturday. Same time, same information. So share it with your team. Same time, same information. With that, thank you guys for joining us. Bitcoin Brandon out. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
KryptoGeneX.